So LegalShield's made some changes. Prices are going up a little bit in a couple cases, and there are more plan options now. And it got me thinking, is LegalShield still worth it today? Is probably a question people have. Because I've talked about this before, but like anything else, when things change, it's worth taking a fresh look. And I think this is one of those times, one of the things where if you don't revisit it every once in a while, you can end up either overvaluing it or undervaluing it. So neither one of those things really helps you make a good decision, right? We want to be able to make a good decision about things. So if you're new here, my name is Dan, and on this channel I talk about real experiences, real lessons, things I've used, things I've learned, and even some things I've regretted along the way. Hopefully, just so you know, I am a LegalShield associate. So I do see this from both sides. I'm a member, been a member way longer than an associate. But what I'm sharing here is just my honest experience and perspective. And so let's just talk about LegalShield, okay? At its core, LegalShield is pretty simple. It's a monthly subscription that gives you access to a law firm in your state. So instead of paying hundreds of dollars an hour every time you need a lawyer, you're paying a smaller monthly fee to be able to pick up the phone and ask questions when you need to. That's the major use of it. And it sounds pretty simple, but I think this is where a lot of people either really get it or they don't. Because most people don't think about calling a lawyer. We just don't. Not until something has already gone wrong. And by that point, it's usually more expensive, more stressful, and a lot harder to deal with. And so that's the idea behind LegalShield is more preventative, right? It's being able to ask questions like, should I sign this contract? Does this look right to you? Am I putting myself in a bad position here? And those are the kinds of things and questions that really can save you a lot of money. Before you ever get into a bigger situation, you want to be able to have those questions answered. But here's where things start to shift a little bit. And this is why I wanted to kind of make this update. Pricing and plan structures have been changing, where it used to feel like everything centered around that $30 a month range. Now you're seeing more, of a tiered options. Gives you more options, closer to $40, even $60 a month, depending on the level. Even though the basic level is still a very great value. Some people are also adding identity theft protection, so now the total monthly cost can even be higher. And naturally, the question becomes, if I'm paying more, is this still something that actually makes sense? And this is where I really wanted to be really honest with you about that, because this is the part that really matters the most. LegalShield is one of those things where if you use it, it can be extremely valuable. But if you don't use it, it really just feels like another bill that you're paying every single month. And I've seen both sides of that. I've seen people who use it, call in, ask questions, have documents reviewed, get their will done, and they get real value out of it. And I've also seen people who have, and just months go by, sometimes even years, they've kept it. They never really pick up the phone to use it and see the value in it. And it's all those little things. So it's not because the service doesn't work. It's usually because they don't fully understand when to use it. Or they don't think about it in the moment, which is something you really have to do. And that right there, this is one of the biggest differences between someone who feels like it's worth it and someone who doesn't. Now, on the other side of that, when you actually do use it, That's where things start to really click. If you're reviewing a contract, perfect. If you're dealing with a situation where you're not sure what your rights are, and that happens a lot of times. If you just want a second opinion about something before making a decision, whether minor or major, being able to call an attorney and get an answer that you know is good without having to worry about getting hit with another bill. I mean, that's where the value really shows up. I've had that where I've saved thousands on one call. So like having a lawyer write a letter on your behalf, that's compelling. That can completely change how someone responds to you. Sometimes that alone can resolve a situation. Not always, but sometimes, okay? And that might have turned into something so much bigger if you just didn't know your rights, or if you weren't able to have them write the letter. But if you can simplify the plans really quickly, there's the personal family plan, which really is built around everyday situations. There's small business plans. And honestly, for a lot of people, that's where some of the biggest value is. Just your family and your business. So obviously people have small businesses, okay? Because if you're running a business, even small legal questions come up more often than you think. Definitely want to use it more. And then there's identity theft protection, which is kind of its own category, but in today's world, it's very relevant because legal and identity theft can always add together. So I'm not going to go too deep into each of these here, but I will break those down in more in another video, okay? And I think this part is important to say too. LegalShield isn't meant to replace every legal situation you might run into. It's really there for guidance, access, and helping you understand what to do next. And in more complex situations, maybe one of their attorneys isn't what you need. You may want to explore working with an attorney outside of LegalShield as well. They have the attorneys to work with you on that, but really the difference is you're not going into that situation blind. You've already talked to an attorney about what your best options are. And that's what we don't have, without paying any additional cost. And that's what's nice about having a better understanding of what's going on, what your next step should be. So you got to really think about that. And, who's it really for? I'd say it's a good fit. You like having access to professional advice before making any kind of decisions. You're someone who would actually use it. Or you just like having that peace of mind. I've had it for 30 years now. So you can call someone when anything comes up. And a lot of times, we really don't think about those being legal issues when they are. If you're never going to use it, or you're expecting it to handle major legal situations right from start to finish, might not be for you. Because that's not really what it's designed for. Child custody and issues like that are tough, okay? So I guess the question is, is it really worth it? I say yes. Of course, I'm an associate, like I said. But like anything else, it really comes down to how you use it. In my next video, I really want to talk about something that I think is even more important than pricing, and why a lot of people don't actually use LegalShield. And that's really important. So what you can do differently if you decide to have it, because that's right there, is what really determines whether this makes sense or not for you. Getting advice, getting your will done, getting questions, contracts reviewed. There's a lot of things down below, but I'll put my link down. You can kind of look at the information, decide if it's something that's fit for what you're looking for. You can put questions in here. I'll be glad to answer them. I do look at them. And appreciate you being here today. And like I said, I try to bring new content here every Monday and Thursday. Not just real experiences, real lessons, but also things I've used, places I've been, things I've liked, and even some things I haven't liked so much, okay? So if this really helped you in any way, I'd appreciate a like. Feel free to comment. Like I said, I'll be glad to Make any comments and answers, or if I can help you, directions. Even if you already have it and you haven't used it and you go, well, I don't know about this. I'm thinking, look, just put the comments in there. I'll make sure you get the help you need, okay? I can tell you, direct you in the right way, even if you're not already a customer, somebody that has a membership through me. And so again, just kind of recap, using it for consultation and advice, documents and letters. We even have it for traffic tickets. We have it for a lot of other things. Getting your will done, really important. People don't get their will done. Even if you're thinking about getting a trust done, okay, you can get advice on that and what, the pros and cons of all of that stuff. So, like I said, in my next video, I'll go into a little bit more about, things that don't happen, that people don't get to use it and why. And again, I appreciate you taking the time. My name is Dan from Michigan here. Hope you like this video, and will give me a like or a comment, and even subscribe if you like. So you have a phenomenal day.